we're joined here by Coach Sarah Condra of the Bucks. And, Coach, Union's a pretty good team, but the Bucks, Lady Bucks, you hear okay? Everything good?
Yeah.
Okay. Lady Bucks not able to hit a lot of shots tonight. You held a team in the 60s, but Lady Bucks just could not buy a basket tonight. Some of it defensively, but you had some good open looks, just didn't drop tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to shoot 19% and beat a lot of teams. I mean, it's hard to only score 38 and try to compete, especially against top teams in the conference. So we just didn't shoot the ball very well. Obviously, defensively, I think we could have done a few things better, but it just came down to execution, and we didn't execute very well. And I tell you, when you get beat like that, obviously your team wasn't prepared, and if your team's not prepared, it's on the coaches. So.
You know, there were some off and on efforts tonight, but talk a little bit about April Bonner in the second half, really coming off the bench and sparking, so to speak. She really put in some good minutes while she was on the floor out there.
Yeah, I mean, she had eight points and 6 rebounds in 12 minutes, and, you know, if that was a consistent effort every day, you know, then there's no telling, you know, how much she would play, you know. And so I challenged her for these last 11 games, you know, to continue to come in here every day and get some things in and work on her own with her shot and everything. And I mean, she may have played herself into the lineup a little bit tonight.
Well, good. We'll hope so. One of the 2 redshirt seniors on the team, Ashley Schaefer, the other one, I believe Ashley, the only double-digit scorer tonight. So 2 seniors really kind of stepping up tonight. And like I said, I know it's still frustrating, but you did get a lot of your young players in. Unfortunately, maybe because of the way the game was going, but it does help long term to get that experience against especially good teams like Union. They're 18 in the 1 poll or whatever, and tied, well, I guess ahead right now by half a game, but a 5-way tie at the top. That's going to help you long term. I know it doesn't help you tonight, obviously.
Right.
But I think overall, several players got some good minutes tonight, and like I say, there was some good, some bad, all the way around.
Right. Yeah. No. And it was good to see some of those young players and see how they would react in a game like this. And there are some kids that we'd like to, you know, to bring along more, and that I would hope would be playing a little bit more by now. But hopefully, like moments like this, that they can get in, that gives them a little bit of experience. So, you know, when we do need them down the road, maybe it won't be such a shock, you know, coming into a game, and they would have a little bit of experience under their belt. So.
All right. And like I say, you get a week off, which I think it's a good move by the 2 schools. As the pregame note said, both decided to play tonight and have the weekend where you're a week off now. Everybody else plays Saturday, so didn't look like a lot of injuries. Sam maybe had a little bang up there on the 1 play, but hopefully she'll be okay because you do get a week off. But then out on the road for quite a few here. Well, I guess it's just 2 on the road and then 4 here, and then mostly on the road to end up. But
right.
You'll go to Shorter and Lee a week from tonight and Saturday, and then back home for 4 in a row. Like I say, hopefully you'll get through a good week of practice and everybody stays healthy, gets ready to go, and you can start off the second half with a bang and keep your position and hopefully move up in the positions in the rankings. You want to be in that top 8, hopefully top 4, which will be tough, but just to get in the playoffs again with such a young team this year, I think that would really be good for the Lady Bucks.
Yeah, the next 4 games are tough, you know. 3 of the next 4 against the top teams in the conference, but, you know, I'm excited about it. I want to see how we respond from this game, and see if we can get better and continue to grind it out. I mean, that's what I told the girls. You know, you never know. Like, I mean, we're all going to beat up on each other, and you don't know what's going to happen with one team or another. You know, so we just got to continue to do what we do and get a little bit better, and just try to, you know, make a push here to make this tournament.
And Coach, we want to transition a little bit. I mentioned before your game that I went over last night and did the shot clock for the University of Memphis women, and UConn, the #1 team in the nation, again, kind of a regularity there. And Coach Auriemma, I think they've won 56 in a row and 99 out of 100. That's a goal the Lady Bucks and you can strive for. And speaking of that, they actually used Canale, I understand, on Tuesday for their practice before the game on Wednesday. And tell us a little bit about that, just, you know, what that was to have a program and the coaches and players that are basically everyone an All-American MVP from their team to come in here and understand they let you and the Lady Bucks and whoever really watch the workout. And what all did, you know, you get, your team get, what all came out of that? What are some of the things you thought was really great and how UConn was overall?
You know, it was an incredible experience for both the players and us coaches, you know, like to have the opportunity to learn from the best, you know. I'll say them as a program, I understand why they are so good after watching them practice. I mean, the one thing that stood out to both me and the players was just the intensity at which they practice with. You know, like we do a lot of the same drills. Like, you know, it's funny, the girls will say, well, we did this drill, we do this drill. I was like, yeah, but, and of course, you know, when you got 10 high school All-Americans, it's a little different, but, you know, they practice so hard. I mean, like, they took game speed to another level, you know, and when you practice that day in and day out, like, you're just going in and games become easy, you know, and so that was one thing that stood out to me, and you know, I was really impressed with just their overall program, how they came in, and you know, like, they were all very friendly, spoke to every one of us, came over after practice was over and shook our hands, took pictures, whatever, thanked us for letting us use the gym. Like, very classy program. But, you know, I mean, and Gino would come over and would talk to us about, you know, like, what they were doing and what they were teaching, and you know, like, it was very interactive with us on the side, as far as, you know, like talking to us throughout, you know, the practice, and just, you know, teaching us what they were doing and what he was teaching, and that was very helpful. But one thing that he said that I told you before was, you know, at this time of the year, you're not getting better physically, but you can get smarter, you know, and that's one thing that we got to do with our team, especially a young team, you know, like, I think that's the one thing you can grow mentally, you know, and what can you do, get better, you know, reading plays or getting better defensively and just being smarter on the defensive end, and he really drilled that yesterday, and it was really good for our kids to see, and you know, it started with leadership. I mean, you know, they all were on the same page from the time that they started stretching to the time that practice was over, and they had really good leadership and really good communication, and our kids, of course, they've been motivated the last couple of days in practice, and the last couple of practices have been really good, but, you know, how could you not be motivated after watching that?
Absolutely. And then, you know, you mentioned that as far as the physical and all, that was one of the things I hung around last night and watched his interview, and I mentioned to you that some of the reporters asked about his freshmen that are stepping up, which you can associate that with. You're playing quite a few of them, and he mentioned, I never thought about it, that he said, you know, freshmen this year were seniors in high school. Well, high school, it starts in basically the middle of November. You're starting up to get going, and your season's getting ready to start the tournament now to be done soon with your whole season, to where college, it's so much more starting in the middle of October, and you still have another half of your whole conference schedule to go. So it's, you know, 2 or 3 months longer overall. He said the physical part, you always hear about players wearing down, and I always just took it as physical for the most part, but he mentioned specifically last night with his freshmen that they're fine physical. I mean, they're 18, 19 years old. They can keep playing and doing what they're doing, but the mental part, as you were just mentioning, the mental part is where really the beat down, the wear down comes, because they're just not used to playing this much intensity with this big of bodies and this type of atmosphere,
right,
versus high school just a year ago right now for your freshman and his, even though they're a little higher caliber than ours. It's the same thing, and I'm sure you do run into some of that, and hopefully what they saw in that practice, they have some of it click.
Right. Well, and really really, if you think back to last year with Courtney and Rachel, I think we saw them wear down a little bit just because as freshmen they were playing 40 minutes a game.
That's true.
And it wasn't just the physical part, it was a mental part, and where we only had the 8 players, and it wasn't that we couldn't execute or make shots. It was making bad decisions that led to turnovers, and that was all fatigue, and so I know exactly what he's saying there, and it reminds me of I told Courtney before our West Florida game, their point guard who's pretty good, and the night before they had played, I forgot, I guess they played when they beat Union, and their little point guard had played 40 minutes, and Courtney had played 40 minutes against Valdosta. I was like, y'all both played 40 minutes,
both win.
But I told her, I was like, you're 20 years old, you can play 40 minute, but it's like he said, it's just the mental side of things and that wears them down.
All right. Well, Coach, want to, like I say, congratulate all that as far as you're, talking to, a legend, obviously, the John Wooden, basically, of women's basketball for sure, and the program, what they're doing is just unbelievable. I was reading the game notes before I went over there and did the clock, and my thumb's sore from so many clock resets, both defensively and offensively, because they really are something to see. I checked their schedule. I'm going to watch them on ESPN or ESPN2 or CBS Sports whenever I see they're going to be on. I'm going to be home because I've lived it now, and the Lady Bucks have lived it too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, well, Coach, congratulations again on that. And tonight, I know it's a tough loss, but first half's over. Give them a week of practice and get them ready to go on the road, and we'll see you back here in a couple of weeks.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you very much. All right.